If I asked you the scariest thing about Russia, you might say babushkas or holodets, and they're right up there. But actually, the scariest thing is customer service. In Russia, there's absolutely no such thing as service with a smile. I guess the problem of poor customer service started during the USSR, where because everything was state-run, there was no competition, so a customer didn't have to be satisfied as they couldn't take their custom elsewhere. As unemployment wasn't allowed, the service providers weren't motivated by fear of the sack. Shortages of goods and long queues worsened the consumer experience even more. Even now in Russia, customer service can be very hit or miss. You soon get used to it and generally accept it, although I have occasionally got my own back. I remember one time in Moscow going into one of the little kiosk-type shops by Chisty Prudi metro station before they were all torn down. I approached the counter, said hello to the woman sitting behind it and politely asked for a bottle of water. She got up, grabbed the bottle from the shelf behind her and dumped it down on the counter before giving a huge sigh, or more like a grunt. Instinctively, I decided to give her a taste of her own medicine and made the same noise back. We stared at each other for a moment and then, to my amazement, she reacted in a way that I wouldn't have thought possible. She burst out laughing. This surprising development then made me start laughing. I left the shop delighted that I'd managed, by being a bit cheeky I know, to help her release years, if not decades, of pent-up frustration due to dealing with intolerable customers like me. I've got Trevor sitting alongside me. So Trev, have you experienced Russian customer service yet?
Yes, so actually I went into a little shop yesterday and then I just went in and I said Straswitsi to the woman working in there because I learned that word on the first day. Straswitsi, it means hello in Russian. So I said Straswitsi and then she just completely ignored me. She just looked at me like I was weird.
Now, if you ever come to Russia, be very careful about visiting any upscale bars, particularly in Moscow. You walk into what is usually a deserted place and are approached by a female hostess who asks you if you booked a table. You look around at the empty bar and ask why you'd have needed to. It's because the bar is hoping to get far more customers than there are available tables and thus think that people will pay to sit at them. They think it's better to keep the tables empty instead of caring about the customers who are already there. That's because in Russia, the invisible customer, the one who hasn't turned up yet or who may never will, is far more valued than the customer who is present, in keeping with the golden rule that the customer must not at any cost be satisfied. The customer who isn't present isn't therefore a customer, so there isn't the same obligation to displease them. The most extreme example of this I encountered was in Moscow, not surprisingly. I was the first and only customer in a huge warehouse-type bar. I told the waiting staff I only wanted a quick drink and was baffled when they said I couldn't sit down anywhere as you had to reserve a table to gain that privilege. Perhaps not surprisingly, when I happened to be walking past the same bar a few weeks later, I noticed it had permanently closed. Actually, I think Trevor went to a bar last night. Let's find out about that, shall we?
So yeah, I went to a bar last night and I just went in and I said, can I have a pint of ale, please? And then the young man working there, he said, oh, we don't have ale. So I said, well, just give me a pint of lager then. And he said, well, we don't have pints. So I said, well, what do you have? And he said, we have half a litre. I said, well, I didn't really want that much, but okay, let's just go with it.
And what did you make of the Russian beer?
Well, really, it kind of tastes a bit like dog's wee, but what do you expect for 90 pence?
Okay friends, this has actually been my last video for quite a while because I've got some new work-related projects starting and I just don't have the time for it anymore. I mean, you might be amazed that a 5-minute video can easily take many hours, what with the planning and the recording and the editing and everything else. So yeah, unfortunately I just don't have the time for it anymore. Thanks very much for watching all my videos and hopefully enjoying them. I'll try and get back on it at some point in the future if and when I can. So take good care till then. Bye for now.